Okay guys, here it is, my Classic Negative video. You know, like a lot of you, when Classic Negative was first introduced to us, I was blown away by the way it looked. I was seeing all these examples of all these ex-photographers shooting Classic Negative, and to me it looked like a really true film simulation that, you know, kind of brings us back to like periodicals like National Geographic and Time Life magazine and all the awesome photojournalists. And the film simulation just looked fantastic. But the truth of the matter is, when I got it in my hands and when I was finally able to use it with the X100V and also my X Pro 3, I wasn't happy with it. I could not dial it in no matter what. I wasn't getting the same results that I was seeing online, and I wasn't seeing what everybody was raving about. It was so difficult for me to finally dial in Classic Negative. But I finally gotten to the point where I feel like I have it dialed in to where I like it, and now that that's been done, I want to share it with you guys. Now, when shooting Classic Negative, there's a couple things that you have to keep in mind, and this is true of any kind of film simulation that you're using. Films like Portra 400 really need to soak up a lot of sunlight to really bring out the key features of that film simulation, and that's true of the actual film stock as well, where other films like Portra 400 do really well in like overcast and cloudy days where you have that clean blanket of light and you can bring out those strong pastel colors in your greens. In my opinion, Classic Negative needs strong contrasty sunlight. I think that really allows the key features to shine through and allows these files to really sing. Now, in order for me to dial in Classic Negative, it wasn't a short road. Usually it was met with a lot of frustration because I would go out, I would shoot with an adjusted JPEG tone. I'd come back in, I'd look at what I did wrong and where I'd want to make my adjustments. I'd have to do them in camera, then go back out to the scene and try to shoot it again to see if those differences made a difference. The problem with doing that is that light is ever changing. It's changing right now. And what you end up doing is running yourself into a circle that you can never get out of, where you shoot, adjust, look at the files, reshoot, adjust, look at the files, and you can't get out of it. This is where Classic Negative really can be difficult, and this is where Fujifilm X-RAW Studio can help you. If you guys don't know this already, being a Fujifilm shooter, you have a very powerful tool that's available to you in Fujifilm X-RAW Studio. I wasn't a huge user of this product until recently when really trying to nail in my Classic Negative tones. The beauty about X-RAW Studio is you can simply hook up your camera, shoot your RAW files, bring them in, and apply your camera's JPEG simulations right there in front of you in live view. You can actually see the simulations take an effect on your RAW file and make minute adjustments should you need to dial it in exactly where you want to go. No more chasing your tail, running back out, running for the light, trying different scenarios, bringing it back in the camera. You don't have to do any of that. You're using your Fujifilm's camera JPEG processor embedded already, and you're applying them to your RAW files right there on a large monitor, and it's all in real time. Now that sounds great in itself, but the added benefit is once you dial in your film simulation to the way that you like, you can simply set it as a custom function right into your camera. That's right, it will become one of your custom function simulations right in camera. You hit that Q menu, you go to custom 1 through 7, and it's right there. But here's where I'm going to help you guys out. We're going to skip ahead of all that, and I'm going to give you my film simulation, the way I shoot Classic Negative, and the way that I've set it up in camera. And if you like the way that I shoot my images, and you like the way that I color grade them, this is how I'm getting that effect when I'm shooting Classic Negative. Alright, let's dive into the camera. Okay, so here we are with a screen grab from the X100V, and this is using the external recorder using an Atomos Ninja 5. So I apologize for the composition here, but it's less than ideal. I'm very close to the recorder, so I can't stretch the X100V out too far. So I figured I'd just throw a Leica in the front here, and that's always interesting to everybody, so we'll just go with that. I'm going to just focus this in so it's not distracting. Okay, so here we are. So right off the bat, you can see the way that I set up Classic Negative here on my screen. And one of the things that you may notice right off the bat, actually, if I can move this into the darker area so you can see it better, is one of the key features right there, 600K Kelvin. That's where I put my white balance. I use Kelvin white balance 600K, a little bit stronger than daylight, and I find that that really adds to the warmth of the overall files, and just gives it that look that I'm really going after. But we're going to get a little bit deeper. If I hit my Q menu, you can see how I have everything set up. Okay, and let me just roll this to custom function 1, which I have as JD Classic Negative. Now, I understand that the Q menu is very subjective, and it's not really important for Classic Negative and the way that we're going to set it up. But this is how I have my Q menu set up, where I have my custom function right there. I have my focusing right here. I have IAF functionality right here. I do have my white balance should I want to change something, but I usually, like I said, leave it at Kelvin. I have a timer, my grain, and I have that for weak and small. That's going to be something that you're going to be asked to do, but that's also subjective as well. I like a little bit of grain in my files. Negative classic, classic negative. I reversed that around, but there it is right there. Here's your photometry. So again, I just have this on evaluative. And over here, you'll notice that your highlights and shadows and your dynamic range priority is all grayed out. And I choose to use dynamic range priority auto. Now, you might have thought that there was a little bit more into this, and there really isn't. Auto seems to work well. If you use too strong, it tends to lift the shadows way too much and really takes away a lot of the contrast. And weak is almost similar to auto. I just feel that auto works a little bit better as an all-arounder. If you want to get a real contrasty image, you can turn your dynamic range priority off, and what you will see is where I'm left right now. I use a +2 in the highlights, a +3 in the shadows, and dynamic range auto. But like I said, I leave it on auto, and you can see the lift right in between it. If I take the Q menu away and I leave it here, you can see where the file is right now. And if I put it back on off, you can see where the file is right now. Extremely dark and crunchy. And although I do like contrast, I do like a little bit of dynamic range displayed in my image. So for me, auto is the way to go, and it just lifts those shadows ever so slightly in order to give you a more leveled out file. But let's dive a little deeper. Going into the menu and diving into the actual function that I have. If we go into this, and let's just say I want to edit it, I'm going to show you where we are here. Okay, so obviously shooting large JPEG 3.2, and I'm shooting image quality fine plus raw, uncompressed, film simulation, classic negative. Grain effect, weak, small, like we talked about. Color chrome effect, strong. Color chrome effect, blue, strong. White balance, Kelvin. Okay. Now, yes, it is Kelvin, 6,000 degrees. Okay, and I don't have a shift. I have no shift at all on this. Some people choose to shift. If you do shift at all, I would go to the lower left-hand quadrant of the square here. But again, I don't shift it. I leave it the way it is at 6,000. You can see right there. If you were to shift at all, I would kind of swing towards a negative blue and a negative red and kind of hover in this area down here. But like I said, I leave it right where it is. I don't find a need to change that at all. Dynamic range, again, like we talked about, priority. Color, I have it set to 0. If you want it a little stronger, you can certainly do that. It could help bring out some more color in your images. But again, I just have mine set to 0. Sharpness +3, noise reduction -4, and clarity. Clarity is +1. Now, here's the thing with clarity, okay? Clarity can be extremely difficult to use if using on single shot. It seems to be that the X cameras try to process the image when shooting single shot, and it takes a little bit longer on the buffer as well as the card. But I found that if you have your drive mode set to continuous, and even if you're just shooting continuous low, the camera reacts a little more quickly. I believe it harnesses all the images and puts them into a buffer, and almost like a queue, and it processes them. It like batch processes it all at once, as opposed to just processing each separate image and bogging up your camera. So I would suggest that using the clarity tool, while a great tool, it does have a crippling effect on your camera, and that's why I would leave your drive mode to over here. If you hit drive, I would have it on a low. Even if you wanted to do a 3 or a 5, I would leave it right there. All right, guys, so what did you think? I went over quickly the best lighting to shoot classic negative in, and then we delve into the camera menu on my X100V, and no big surprise, and maybe you thought there would be, it's not that hard to set up, it's not that difficult to set up, but you can get yourself stuck into a circle of trying to dial in this simulation. Again, if you like the way that I color my images and you like the way that I do things, then this is how I set it up. It's not that difficult, it's pretty straightforward and simple. So again, no video would be complete without example images. So following is going to be a whole bunch of images that I've taken with Classic Negative. Now all these images are straight out of camera JPEGs. Nothing has been done to them. The only thing that I've done is I've added them to the mobile app Darkroom. And if you guys don't know about Darkroom, it's a great little mobile editor, but I've added Darkrooms because I like borders. So I added borders to the images. But other than that, that's all I've done. So also to complement this video, I'm going to put a blog post up on my website, and that's going to be high-res images, detailed photo shots of how to set up your menu, and maybe going a little bit deeper into XRAW Studio as well. But I wanted to make this YouTube video for you guys so you can see how I shoot Classic Negative. And again, if you like these images, this is how it's done, guys. See you on the next one. Bye.